Hello again. Today I want to share a interesting Bible that I found locally at a yard sale, and I paid $1 for this Bible. It's of a type that you don't really see much in Protestant Bibles, and this is a Catholic edition. Says only Holy Bible on it. This is a hybrid Bible. It's kind of in the family Bible size, which when you find a Protestant Bible in this size, it's almost always King James, and you know what you're getting there. This one, as I said, is a Catholic Bible, and it is a hybrid Douay-Rheims Westminster. So the Old Testament is in the Douay translation from 1582, and then revised by Bishop Challoner in 1752. So several centuries old. And the New Testament and a few parts of the Old Testament were a more modern translation by a Jesuit by the name of Cuthbert Laddie in the 30s and 40s up to the early 50s. He was working on this, completed the New Testament, but did not complete the Old Testament. So this volume, I believe all of the Old Testament is in the Douay version except for the Psalms, which are the Westminster Bible translation, and all of the New Testament is the Westminster translation. That Westminster translation, they stopped working on that in 1954. They hadn't completed the entire Old Testament at that time, so they produced some of these hybrid Bibles. Actually, I don't think they printed many of these. I've never seen one before. It's a little bit like the Confraternity Bible, which I found I had never heard of, but I found this at my local thrift, where this also is a hybrid with the Douay-Rheims and the Confraternity version that was being translated about the same time as the Westminster, approximately. I think both of these projects were then abandoned in favor of the New American Bible. And it's a shame because I like these translations a little better than that New American. But that's neither here nor there. So let's open up this Bible and take a look. It's a big boy, so I'm going to need a little room here. All right, before I open it, I'm just going to give you a sense of the magnitude of this volume. Some of its features. It has this, look at the size of that ribbon, first of all. It's got gold gilding. That's seen some wear, but still shines. Just the one ribbon. It's presumably fake leather over some type of board. Gold imprint, Holy Bible, and then this curious emblem with the keys and the papal crown, I assume. Some other imagery that I'm not sure of. And then the front, kind of a similar design there. In the opening page, I'm going to lock this down for a moment so you can see it. This curious life of Christ in kind of a, I don't know, pictograms, hieroglyphics, that starts up here with the Cairo symbol that is shown throughout that represents Christ, obviously. And here we have Star of Bethlehem, and we have the manger scene. We have Looks like the baptism represented there, and the Holy Spirit coming in the dove, the temptation in the wilderness, the first miracle at Cana in Galilee, calling of the 12, etc. Some parables, the loaves and fishes, feeding of the 4,000 or 5,000, parable of the lamps, etc. It goes all the way through Last Supper, and then this page looks like all the passion narrative, and then resurrection and ascension. Just a curious little thing. I kind of like this. The artwork in here, let me zero in on that. It's pretty amazing too. The colors are very vivid. It has the imprimatur here, there. A lot of gold overlay on these pages, on the art. Holy Bible, the Old Testament and the Douay text, the New Testament and Psalms in the Westminster text, which I had to look up the Westminster, and you can't find a whole lot about it. But again, it was being translated in the 30s to the early 50s, and they ended up giving up on that and then producing the New American Bible in its place, which came out in 1970. Hawthorne Books. We have here a insert portrait of Pope Pius XII, who was Pope until 1958, and that's the only date I see in here. First published 1958. I don't see any later date than that. So I'm assuming this was published in 1958 or very shortly thereafter. It's in really good shape. There's a notice from Pope Pius, and has a date of 1955 from the Vatican, December 27, 1955. Table of contents, little insert that must have come with it when it was new. A prayer before the reading of any part of the Holy Scripture. It's rather neat. The Old Testament, of course, it has the entire Catholic canon, so the books that would in a Protestant Bible be considered part of the Apocrypha or deuterocanonical books are in their normal Catholic order here. And you can also see they use the names. Let me focus on this side a little bit. The names of the books that were more traditional from the Vulgate and translated then into the Douay version. So a little bit of a difference from what we call the books. 1st and 2nd Samuel, for instance, are 1st and 2nd Kings, and then the 2 Kings books are 3rd and 4th Kings. Most of them are pretty easy to figure out. Just something different. I rather like Canticle of Canticles, and I wish we called it Song of Solomon that. There's a preface here that gives some of the history of the Westminster Bible. I like these initials at the beginning of books. They're not all in red. In fact, I don't know if just Genesis is in red. I think most of them are in black. Yeah, Exodus we can see is has like an ox, and it's in black. Nice big typeface here. The notes are quite a bit smaller, but still very readable. It's very much a family Bible, printed big so that I guess the family could easily read it for family devotions or some such. A lot of art throughout, classic Renaissance art reproduced throughout. Very nicely printed, in great shape, no markings, no writing in the book at all. Binding is intact. Maccabees, and now we're getting to the space in between the Testaments, where you get more of this fantastic art, some of the family record type pages that are just beautiful. Make sure you can see that. Lock that exposure on that. marriages, births, first communions, confirmations, deaths, and then some kind of inserts here, and more art plates in color. Mary Magdalene, St. Peter, St. Paul. And we have the New Testament, and it looks like the New Testament also begins with a red initial, I'm guessing. Yeah, St. Matthew. And then little, again, history of the Westminster version of the New Testament. Something, again, I was not familiar with. Very beautiful Bible, just really well done. The paper is terrific. The art is, classic, very nice. We have references and a few history of private Bible reading. I haven't read that yet, but I really should. You have church calendar things, movable feasts, selections to be read on feast days, indulgences. I wonder if a Protestant can get any indulgence from this. I'll have to do my research on that. I don't know what this page is, but it's stuck together. The Bible in Literature, St. Jerome. So he's working on the Vulgate there with a lion next to him. Must be his editor. All right, then we have some maps. Discussion of the maps. And I like these old-fashioned maps in here. And then the final end paper is the same as the front with the Life of Christ in pictograms. Big heavy book, just beautiful. $1 at a local yard sale, and you cannot beat that with a stick. Just to get a flavor for the Westminster translation, I'm going to go to the Psalms. And here we see a oddity in the numbering of the Psalms in the Douay Bible, which carried over apparently into the Westminster, but I don't think is in the New American, but the numbering is slightly different. So I wanted to look at Psalm 40, but it's Psalm 39 here in the Westminster. And it's a familiar psalm, just to get a flavor for the feel. It's still a very old-fashioned, high church sounding translation, not super modernized. So this part of Psalm 40, which again here is Psalm 39, it says, "Awaiting, I awaited the Lord, and he inclined unto me, and he brought me up out of the pit of the netherworld, out of the mire of the bog, and set my feet upon a rock, and made sure my steps. And he put into my mouth a new song, even praise to our God. Many shall see with awe and put their trust in the Lord." Just a flavor of that. Now, I'm familiar with that passage from the King James, and then the Revised Standard is close enough to the King James, and that'll be more familiar to you. Psalm 40, here's the Revised Standard that I shared before, present from Mrs. Moving About. So Psalm 40, "I waited patiently for the Lord. He inclined to me and heard my cry. He drew me up from the desolate pit, out of the miry bog, and set my feet upon a rock, making my steps secure. He put a new song in my mouth, a song of praise to our God. Many will see and fear and put their trust in the Lord." I just kind of prefer that reading. Plus, it's a lot closer to the Bono version, if anybody's familiar with the Psalm 40 from U2. And same psalm now from the New American Bible, which I'll cover this Bible at some point. I got this, it's such a beautiful Bible. I got this, found it on Craigslist years ago when I first started kind of gathering some Bibles. And it was actually this might have been my first Catholic Bible rather than the Douay-Rheims, I'm not sure. They were about the same time, several years ago. But the New American Bible, I have mixed feelings about. If we go to Psalm 40 here, I have waited for the Lord, and he stooped toward me and heard my cry. He drew me out of the pit of destruction, out of the mud of the swamp. He set my feet upon a crag. He made firm my steps, and he put a new song into my mouth, a hymn to our God. Many shall look on in awe and trust in the Lord. No, not bad. Um, Again, I'm going to cover this Bible probably on another video because this edition is just really beautiful, but the New American Bible deserves some attention. To me, it's sort of the NIV for Catholics, only the NIV is pretty vanilla, and this somehow is more vanilla than the NIV. So just my own personal taste. Not a huge fan of the New American Bible. The Douay-Rheims is a beautiful Bible. The Westminster may be somewhere in between, just from what little I've read here. So, but that's for another day. We'll look at that. So, hope you enjoyed this look at this. I don't know that you'll find one of these locally. I don't know how prevalent and how many of these were printed, and whether there were Bibles other than this edition that included the Douay and the Westminster. I really don't know. So if you've seen a Westminster Bible, I'd like to hear about it. So maybe tell me in the comments. I'm guessing it may be brand new to a lot of you because it was completely unheard of to me, even though I'm not Catholic, so it wouldn't necessarily be something I knew a lot about, but just thought I was curious. Beautiful Bible. I'll probably keep it just because it's such a gorgeous volume. But I think I prefer the Douay portions a little more than the Westminster. But that's just me. Your mileage may vary. So thanks for joining me today for a look at this Bible in comparison with a few other, I went with all red today, I guess. So thanks for joining me, and I hope you join me again next time.